I wonder how good this video is gonna be. Oh no!
Video games.
After doing my last video on the Phone Boy, literally turning my phone into a Game Boy system, I want to do a video on the software used for it, known as lemuriod, which is kind of your all-in-one emulation, and honestly, it's for people who want to just download the games, extract them into a folder, and then play them, instead of having to set everything up like RetroArch. Lemuriod is amazing, and honestly, I passed up Lemuriod for a good bit. In fact, each of the emulators that I used on this phone that I'm recording with, I had different emulators. I had an SNES emulator, I had Melon DS, and the big thing is, would I still use those different emulators on their own without lemuriod? You know what? Let's talk about it.
I know I've already showed Crash Bandicoot XS on here for lemuriod, but I really just can't get enough of this game on lemuriod. It works so well, and it really does prove how smooth games can run on here. Lemuriod is perfect for low-end phones, and lemuriod is also perfect for all of your 2D games. It's able to play Atari games all the way up to SNES really well, and even though it does say it can run 3D games like PS1, N64, and even DS and PSP, which is amazing, I honestly just would not recommend this for that, but I would recommend this for all of your 2D games no matter what because of how well they run, and honestly, I can't do lemuriod enough justice for how good it is. The best part about emulating PlayStation 1 with lemuriod is the fact that lemuriod does not need you to have the BIOS. Lemuriod comes pre-installed with the files that you need for running PS1 games, so you really don't need the BIOS at all. But sadly, the thing is, you can't edit your controls to match how you want to play or make them any good. Lemuriod's controls are just resizing and moving left or right or a little bit up and down, and that's simply it. But Crash Bandicoot ran amazingly. And honestly, I love the Crash Bandicoot games. These are great, but let me show you an actually really good PlayStation emulator that you should use besides lemuriod. This right here is DuckStation. It's made specifically for PS1 games, and look at all these options for how you can view the game. And then look at this control settings, where you can actually change your controls. And I'll show you that right now. The options for what you can do with lemuriod are limited. You don't have much in the way of changing how the screen looks, and honestly, your controls don't have the same thing. It's just moving them around and changing size. But if we're talking about DuckStation, check this out. You can actually customize the controls to how you like. So you can kind of put your controls in a way where it's centered around everything being like an actual PlayStation control, or you can center it around everything being on the right or left side of the screen, and then your D-pad being the only thing on one screen. So you can utilize every button, and then have the D-pad by itself. You can even see that DuckStation plays way better than lemuriod when it comes to PlayStation 1 games. I mean, it's so much easier in my opinion. In fact, this is my preferred way to play PlayStation 1 games on my phone. Lastly, the thing that puts DuckStation way above lemuriod is the fact that you can change the resolution. So it can look either pixely or look either like it's on updated hardware.
Lemuriod is honestly so easy to set up that I can do it here on this phone, and I'll show you screen recording on this phone so you can actually see what to do easily. Now see, you need a file editing app to actually use lemuriod. I recommend ZArchival because it is the easiest one out there. It's completely free and it's on the Play Store. You want to open up ZArchival and go into your downloads and create a separate folder called Games. This is where you're going to access it through lemuriod. You're going to grab what you want, and you're going to simply tap it. Don't hold it, don't do anything, just tap it, and you see three options. Click Extract, go into your games folder, and click this button, which will extract it. Now I already have the game downloaded, so it's going to say overwrite file. I'm just going to click replace, and that's all I'm going to do. Skip. Now, where do you get ROMs? I can't really tell you, but if you want to get ROMs easily, I would recommend archive.org. It's literally the internet's archive for everything. So, once you get your games from archive.org, again, extract it into your games, make sure that your games is in your download, and go to lemuriod. Now, if you don't have anything set up, you want to click dictionary, which will bring you to your downloads folder. Again, you have that game folder, so click games, and then allow access to games. Click allow, and it will scan for all your games. Now, if you have PlayStation 1 games, the great thing is you do not need BIOS to play your PlayStation 1 games. They play perfectly fine because it already has its BIOS inside of it. So then go to whatever game you want. Here, again, I downloaded Crash Bandicoot XS. And again, you're simply just playing the game that you just downloaded. And honestly, again, lemuriod is so easy to use. And I'm going to show you a screen recorded guide, so it's a lot easier for you.
Follow this on-screen guide and you'll be able to play your games easily on lemuriod. Starting from the lowest console generation I recorded would definitely be the Idios. The Idios runs amazing on here. There's no doubts about it. I definitely think that the Idios runs great here. It's smooth, and for something like The Legend of Zelda, the D-pad here works perfectly fine because it's not an 8-direction game, it's a 4-direction, so you only need to use 4 directions on the gamepad. Honestly, this game ran great, plays great, and the touch controls are perfectly fine in my opinion. I really do enjoy playing this, and I'll definitely play this more once I get better at the original Zelda. Sonic 2 ran great. I actually really liked this one. It didn't run as well as SNES, and there was a little slowdown, but it was not noticeable until I started doing the voiceover for my review of Sonic. So I would definitely say that the gameplay and playability for this one is amazing. It sounds good, okay? It's from the Master System, it's a Sonic game. There's a lot of fast sounds mixing together, so my ears just don't like that as much. I do like this game very much, but I just don't like the button placement for the A, B, and C buttons in lemuriod. But then again, this game is still really good, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, maybe check out some Master System games, because they run well. SNES runs great here. In fact, the playability is perfect, the gameplay is perfect, and I would say the sound quality is amazing. And while the controls for Super Mario RPG are okay on here, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and rate the controls a great instead of an okay, because I did pick a game that uses 8 directions instead of 4. But I just imagine that most other games probably run really well with this D-pad. And honestly, SNES runs the best on here. I think this runs really well, but again, there's always different emulators out there you should try. Do not play PlayStation 1 on here. While it doesn't need BIOS, and honestly, lemuriod doesn't need to have its resolution changed, it's automatically set to the best resolution for your device, I just would not play PlayStation games on here. The D-pad does not work here. Again, DuckStation's D-pad is way better. I have to rate this very low, and I'm sorry, but don't play 3D games on here.
Honestly, I love lemuriod. This app is so good for your 2D games, and honestly, for phones, the only thing you should really do is play Game Boy games. If you do want to play NES games, you can do that. That would run amazing on here. And if you wanted to play Master System or Genesis or anything like that, that would also run well on here. They're not bad, but for your 3D games, they run terribly because of the controls. So, what would I rate this? So, going off of original 2D 8-bit games, I would give this rating definitely a 9 out of 10. For your 3D games, it's funny that I'm going to rate it a 3 out of 10. Get it? 3D. And for the overall score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, because even though the 3D games don't work, I'm not going to let that hinder the usability of this app. It is amazing, and I feel like sometimes this app was made for emulation consoles in mind, because everything is right here and easy to use, and it has control support, but the only thing I haven't figured out is how to reconfigure the controls. Once I figure that out, would I recommend this for emulation devices? 100%. But do I recommend 3D games for anything that isn't an emulation device? I do not recommend it. But your Game Boy games and your 2D games that don't have shoulder buttons, I recommend. It's amazing. Anyways, that's where my review for lemuriod, that's the guide, and that's my rating for the games that I've played. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope this video helped you decide what you want to do with the console. And remember, Game Boy games take up less than 50 megabytes, and the ones that do are 3D. So I totally recommend Game Boy games because they work perfectly on a phone like this. Alright, I gotta go. I will see you guys later. Bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that review, I guess, on lemuriod. Listen, I got things to do, so go check out this video. Okay, goodbye. Great! Googly googly!